Town of Walpole notice of intent Conservation Commission public hearing in accordance with Massachusetts General Laws, Chapter 131, Section 40, the Wetlands Protection Act, and the Town of Walpole Wetlands Protection Bylaw. Notice is hereby given of the intent of the Shaki A. Al-Sarabi Family Revocable Trust to convert a driveway into a road for 4 single-family house lots and appurtenances, yikes, at 32 Starlight Drive, Walpole. Plans are on file at the Conservation Commission office. The public hearing on the above matter was held at the Walpole Town Hall, 135 School Street on February 26, 2020, beginning at 7:05. Obviously, that's not right now. This has been continued. All interested parties are requested to be present. So we've heard this is going to be continued. And Landis, should we just continue it to 7 o'clock the following meeting?
I think we're scheduling for July 8th, so we can hold the next meeting open for the Summer Street project. So
okay,
it would be July 8th. And do we have anything scheduled for July 8th already, Amy? Do you know? Let me check the agenda.
I didn't see anything, but maybe I didn't get that agenda.
So July 8th. No, we have nothing scheduled, so it can be at 7.
Mm-hmm. Okay. All right. So are we moving that, Landis? I'm sorry.
Yeah, so if you want to vote to continue the public hearing for 32 Starlight Drive to July 8th at 7 p.m.
Okay, could we get a motion for that, please?
I'll move it.
Okay, could we get a second? Emilio, you tried to second it, but we can't hear you. All right, I read your lips. Undo that.
Unmute.
Oh, they're still red. Do we have a second?
Second.
Okay, good. Okay, so we have to do a roll call vote. Betsy, aye. Al?
Aye.
Emilio?
Aye.
Doug?
Aye.
Okay, so ayes have it, 4-0-0, I think.
Yep.
While we're waiting for our next hearing, we have a bit of business that came up. Landis discovered that we actually need to appoint a person to sign documents. We can't just declare everything to be electronic. So Landis, I should read this aloud, right, to get it into the record? This certificate of vote document that you gave me?
Sure. Yeah, so just to explain it a little more, Betsy. So we have the certificate of vote that allows the digital signatures that you guys voted on the last time. It was recorded at the Registry of Deeds, and I thought that was enough to record our documents. But the Registry of Deeds now wants at least one wet signature. So the way other commissions are handling it is to designate the agent or administrator to sign the documents based on your voting at a hearing. So this is a certificate of vote giving the commission giving me, Landis Hershey, the ability to put a wet signature on the documents.
All right, so.
I'll move that.
Okay. Landis,
Okay, why don't you just read the motion?
I'll read the official thing here, and then Al, you can move it. So we need a motion that the Walpole Conservation Commission authorizes the conservation agent, Landis Hershey, to physically sign Walpole Conservation Commission documents on behalf of the Conservation Commission. The term Walpole Conservation Commission documents as used in the preceding sentence means only those documents that the Walpole Conservation Commission voted to issue and sign at the public meeting during the COVID-19 state of emergency. So Al, you want to move that?
I move it.
Okay, want to second someone?
I will second.
Okay, so we're going to do a vote again. Aye, Betsy. Al, what do you say?
Aye.
Medio?
Aye.
Doug?
Aye.
Okay, so ayes have it 4-0-0, and that's what we're gonna be doing from now on. And now it's 7:05. So let me read in our next hearing. Town of Walpole Conservation Commission abbreviated notice of resource area delineation in accordance with Massachusetts General Laws, Chapter 131, Section 40, the Wetlands Protection Act, and the Town of Walpole Wetlands Bylaw. Notice is hereby given by Walsh Brothers Construction Company for the filing of an abbreviated notice of resource area delineation to review the wetland line for 533 Lincoln Road, lots 3 and 4. Plans are on file at the Conservation Commission office. Public hearing on the above matter was held in the Walpole Town Hall, 135 School Street on May 13th, 2020, beginning at 8:45. We're continuing it. All interested persons are requested to be present. So who is representing? This is not being continued. We are doing this. So who is representing?
Rob Truex.
Vandis, do we have comments from any boards that I need to do?
No, not at this time, not at the continued.
Oh, okay, so who is representing?
Rob Truex with GLM Engineering Consultants. Okay, good evening. So this is a parcel of land located down off Lincoln Road. And if you're familiar with that area, it's 28 acres. It abuts the Walpole Gun Club, which is to the rear of the site. And it comes off of, and it also has access off of the end of Deerfield Drive. There's a couple wetland areas associated with the site. If you drove in the roadway, the access road to the gun club, there's a wetland area off the right-hand side of the roadway, which is the easterly side of the property. And then to the westerly side, which is actually at the town line, which is the Stock River, there's a bordering vegetative wetland located associated with the Stock River. The Stock River itself is within the corner of the property is within the 200 foot of the Stock River. There's also another river that branches off the Stock River, shown on the plan is the unnamed stream, which is a perennial stream, which we're showing the 100 and 200 foot riparian zones on the site. And associated with both those, the Stock River and the unnamed stream, is a bordering vegetated wetland. I believe that Landis has been out with Joyce Hastings from our office. She did the delineation on the site, and they've seen the wetland line. Landis has seen it. We did do a little extra work out at Lincoln Road at the, I guess that would be the southerly, westerly corner of our site. There's a couple driveways shown. You should have received a revised plan. And we did a little extra topography survey in that area because there's an isolated area that floods. We did a calculation, we did a flood study on that. The driveway itself acts as the control structure for the flooding. Once it reaches a certain elevation, it floods over the driveway. And we calculated the storage of that, and it does not meet that of an isolated land subject to flooding. There's no bordering vegetated wetland within it. There's no soils that meet the criteria. There's no vegetation. It's just an area that does pond. It does not pond onto our property, however, even if you were to see it. So it's down in that corner in the front, right along Lincoln Road. There's a couple driveways shown. So with that, maybe Landis can answer any questions. She's seen the left-hand line. I know she walked it with Joyce Hastings, and we're only here to identify the resource areas and then go forward from there.
Okay, I was just thinking of something logistic. So you weren't going to try to do a split screen thing with the plan? Only because we might have a lot of abutters here, or maybe they're here for something else. I don't know.
Well, this plan is just to identify the wetland areas, what's out there on the site. This is not to do. We will be coming back with a full subdivision plan of the property. We did do a preliminary subdivision plan that we went in front of the planning board with last fall. So there is plans to develop it. This is the first step. Once we get the resource areas identified, then we can go forward with our definitive plans and move forward in that direction, which again, all the abutters will be notified at that point, and they'll all be coming to that hearing. That will be with the planning board, but we'll also file most likely we'll be filing a notice of intent for the subdivision, and if not, we'd be filing a land disturbance permit as well. So it will come back once the project goes forward. Right now, it's just the wetlands. I know there have been some abutters that have asked questions about that. It really is just to identify the resource areas so that we can go forward with all of it.
So because we have 22 people right now in the meeting. I'm just thinking probably a split screen maybe would have been a good idea just in case there's some abutters, but maybe let's listen to Landis's comments, and Landis, be extra descriptive in your comments as to what you noticed.
So Rob, you can't put the plan up at all so that all the commissioners receive.
I'm not on my computer. I have it right here as a PDF. If you share my screen. I don't know.
You can what?
Can you share my screen?
No.
Oh. I don't know how else to put it up other than that. If you have the PDF, Landis, you can bring it up on your screen.
Rob, you should have a share button at along the bar of the bottom of your.
Oh yeah.
Oh, wait a
You
second.
want me to share it?
Yeah, if you share it, the rest of the group can see.
I think so, because if we got to do these Zoom meetings, we have to have some kind of way for abutters to feel part of this.
Can everyone see that now?
Came up.
Yeah, thanks. Good.
Yep.
Okay.
Right.
So let me just back up and go through it quickly again. So the isolated area, if you can see my cursor, is down in this corner right here on the front along Lincoln Road. That's the two driveways that are right there, and those driveways kind of act as a berm, and they do a little bit of flooding right in this area. The first wetland, this is a wetland area located up along the drive that goes in to the gun club out back. And then the other one I've talked about is the unnamed stream and the Stock River, which is the easterly side, which is actually the Stock River. It's the town line that's in the town of Norfolk on that side over there. So we might even have some Norfolk abutters here tonight. So with that Stock River and the unnamed stream, there is a bordering vegetated wetland that's also associated with it. If you were able to go out to the site and take a look at it, the site slopes quite drastically down to that wetland line. And it's the toe of the slope is basically the wetland, bordering vegetated wetland, and you go into the swamp area. So Landis, I believe Landis has been out there with Joyce. They've had conversations about the site, so maybe she can bring in some info on that as well.
Yep. Okay, so this is Landis. So I did go out and walk the site with Joyce Hastings, who delineated the wetlands. We looked at the stream boundary, which is a boundary that winds in among the wetlands area there. And then the wetlands does come right at the base of the toe of the slope, so it does slope quite steeply down. It's a very well-defined wetlands line on that side and on the Stock River side. And then we went over to the gun club and we looked at that area too, which is also a very defined wetlands. The main reason they didn't come last time was because of this little area on Lincoln Road, which originally they had located on their plan as an isolated land subject to flooding, which under the Massachusetts Wetlands Protection Act regulations is defined based on how much water it holds. So I wanted them to calculate that, because if it was a true isolated land subject to flooding, we wanted to know how much water and if it qualified. So apparently it doesn't, but it looks like it does take some water from the site because the site's rather high. I understand from some people that live in the area that it may overtop these two driveways a bit and then go into a wetlands, which is further down here adjacent to Lincoln Road. So it sounds like it's not a resource area as defined by the Massachusetts Wetlands Protection Act or the local bylaw. If it doesn't have any wetlands vegetation or soils, it's not an isolated wetlands, which would be classified under the bylaw. And if it doesn't meet the requirements of how much water it holds, it's not an isolated land subject to flooding, and therefore they took it off the plan. The other wetland boundaries and the riverfront area is fine as far as I'm concerned, that they were delineated appropriately.
Okay. Yep. I'll make a comment, then I'll ask Al too, then Emilio, then Doug. I just happen to like to do it in that order. So if something can be done to not exacerbate a situation with the butters, I think that should be in the works, and maybe we'll hear from people if they're getting their driveway flooded. So I guess that would be my main concern is not making the situation worse by whatever ends up happening on this property. Al, do you have a comment?
Well, I guess I have to rely on Landis. If Landis agrees with the wetland line that Joyce generated, I think that's what I have to agree to. I haven't walked the site, so I kind of put an eye's view on. I do know the area up near the Sportsman's Club is quite varied, and it looks like this is quite varied from high to low, and will require some the box drainage. Okay, so I think that I'll go with whatever Linda's agreed to.
Okay, thanks. Emilio, do you have a comment?
No, I have no comments right now.
Okay. Doug, do you have comments?
I have no comments.
Okay. Is there anyone from the audience who would like to speak about this? I can't recognize you, so you have to just sort of yell out because I'm not seeing you, but unmute yourself and say that you'd like to speak if there's anyone. Okay. Sounds like that we don't have anyone who wants to speak. All right, so.
Rob, can you take off the shared screen now so that?
Yep.
Okay, thanks.
So I think we're looking for a motion to close the hearing, right, Landis?
Yes.
Okay, so could someone make that motion to close this hearing?
I'll make it.
Okay, do a second.
I will second it.
Okay, so let's have a voice vote. Aye, Betsy, Al,
Bye.
Medio,
Aye.
Doug.
Aye.
Okay, so 400. And what else are we doing with this, Landis? Just moving.
So it would be in ORAD to approve the wetlands resource areas as shown on the plan.
Okay.
So you
So,
would just vote
would,
that.
okay, so would someone like to move what Landis just said, that we're accepting these wetland delineations?
I'll move that.
Okay, who would like a second?
I will second that.
Okay, all in favor? Betsy says aye. Al, what do you say?
Aye.
Emilio?
Aye.
Doug?
Aye.
Okay, so 400 that we're accepting this delineation.
Thank you very much. Have a good night.
Okay, thank you. And so it is 7:19. I'm going to go on to our next hearing, which I'll foreshadow is continued. But here it is. Town of Walpole Conservation Commission, abbreviated notice of resource area delineation. Sorry, am I reading the right? Yes, I'm reading the right one. Sorry. Okay. In accordance with Massachusetts General Law, Chapter 131, Section 40, the Wetlands Protection Act, and the Town of Walpole Wetlands Bylaw, notice is hereby given by John Hassenjager for the filing of an abbreviated notice of resource area delineation to review the wetland resource area located at Map 19, Lot 183, Pinnacle Point. Plans are on file at the Conservation Commission office. The public hearing on the above matter was held in the Walpole Town Hall, 135 School Street, on February 12, 2020 at 7 o'clock. We had continued it. All interested persons are requested to be present. We are hearing that is continued as well. Landis, did you want to make any comments as to why, or do we just say, okay, it's continued?
Well, the applicant requested to continue the hearing. I know they requested the hearing to be continued to the next hearing, which is 24th, but I'm recommending that we continue it to July 8th at 7:10.
Okay. So would someone like to move the continuation of that hearing to July 8th? Okay, Al, and then who would like to second?
Second.
Okay, so all in favor, Betsy says aye. Al, what do you say?
Aye.
Okay, Medio,
Aye.
Doug?
Aye.
Okay, so 400, we're going to have that hearing in July.
So can you please tell me what the date was for that? Was it July 8th?
Yeah, July 8th.
And there was no reason given
July.
for the postponing?
Who is this speaking?
Oh, hey Landis, this is Dave Corbett.
Okay. Hi, Dave.
Like,
So July 8th at 7:10.
He would like to know why it was continued, if you have any.
It was the applicant requested the continuance.
yep. Sounds good. Thank you.
You're welcome.
All right, so I think we are all set with that. We have a few other little pieces of business. One of them is that Landis recently got a couple of bids for the 55 Summer Street peer review, but they came in at such time that we didn't think that we would be able to do justice to having a real discussion on them. Maybe I'll ask Landis if she thinks there are any highlights that we should be aware of, but I think we're going to postpone the discussion of those bids for a peer review till our next meeting. But Landis, do you want to say anything about what you know about them so far?
Sure. So I put out emails requesting a peer review on the 55 Summer Street project, the notice of intent that has come in for review of the Massachusetts Wetlands Protection Act and regulations specifically. I did get the two responses back, one from Tetra Tech and one from Beta. They just came in late this afternoon, and I just quickly looked them over, but I have a couple of questions that I need clarification before sending them out to you guys. And so I can do that, and then you can discuss it on the 24th. And also, I thought that it would be better if Jack Wiley, the chairman of the Conservation Commission, also was involved, and he was unable to attend tonight. I know there's representatives, applicant on board tonight, and that, I did receive a letter from David Hale as well that I didn't have a chance to forward out to you guys as well, but I will. So I don't know, you might want to ask if any of them want to say something tonight.
Sure.
That's mostly what's on now, is the representatives from 55 Summer Street, I believe.
Okay, so do we have any comments from anybody?
Sure. My name is David Hale, and I'm the proponent. Just like to ask some questions about the process and also make a comment about the letter that Landis received this afternoon. So I guess I'll address the letter first. So the letter essentially is a request to process this permit virtually. Our belief is that there will be no in-person hearings for quite some time, and that really the only fair and responsible way going forward is for virtual hearings. And the governor will, in the legislature, will act eventually on this, but I think in the meantime, and we did not want to, our original position was that we want in-person hearings, but they're not going to happen anytime soon. So that's the nature of the letter, and I'm not expecting a response, but I wanted to put it out there as something for you folks to think about. And then I wanted to ask about, process on the 24th and, what would happen and what would be expected at that meeting.
Landis, can you elaborate?
Well, we have you scheduled for the 24th at 7 o'clock. and we've blocked off that whole meeting for the hearing.
Okay, terrific.
And Landis, we're gonna have to do a whole
Yep.
lot of split screening, right?
You have to do a lot of what?
A whole lot of split screening so people can see what we're talking about. So.
Right. So I know. I mean, the chairman is not here tonight, so he will probably set the stage at the hearing to begin with. So, you know, I don't want to speak for him.
Okay.
But right now you're on our agenda for the 24th. So
Any-
I would be prepared. You should be prepared to present the project to the commission.
Okay, we will certainly be prepared to do that.
Any other comments
Great.
from people in the audience?
So just to be clear, sorry, this is Joanna Hilbert. The discussion of the review of the peer review proposals will happen on the 24th as well. So is it anticipated that would happen first and then we'd have the hearing? I guess Jack will decide on the 24th, but those two, it will be not just the hearing, but it will also be the discussion of the received proposals on the 24th.
Correct, Landis?
So in the past, the commission or the chair has allowed for a peer reviewer to be chosen based on the responses we get back for proposal, and then the commission votes who they want to hire. So that is what I anticipate happening.
Okay.
Any other comments from people who are watching? Okay, so we have a few other little bits of business if people are done discussing that. Could we address the minutes? Do people want to move to approve the minutes? I don't hear anyone.
Anyone?
Have you all read the minutes?
Yep, and Doug made some kind of an amendment, didn't he?
I just had some minor corrections, and that has been addressed.
Great.
So do you want to move them, Doug?
Yeah, I move that we accept the minutes.
Do we have a second? Or would people like to do this the next meeting?
You need a second. I think that was Emilio. I don't know. There we go. The sound seems to be
Did Emilio just
going
say?
in and out.
I haven't read them, so.
Okay, we'll
Oh,
do
he hasn't read them.
it next meeting. We'll do it next meeting.
Okay.
Okay, yeah, do it next meeting.
Simple enough. Okay, and then the final things that we wanted to do were just a tiny recap of enforcement orders. There won't be much additional information there. And there is a request for a certificate of compliance, but this is Frank Kent, 263 Lincoln Road. But Landis, what do you want to say about that? Right, certificate of compliance.
Right. So this was for an addition and some yard work, regrading and fill in the backyard. And that I went by there, I think last week, and they had put the loam down in the seed, but I don't think it's completely stabilized yet. So I'm going to keep them on for one more hearing, and we'll maybe address it at the next hearing.
Okay. All right. And finally, just a little recap of 3 enforcement orders, but as I said, not much new information there. I don't think we have a whole lot to say about Main Street, 1900 Main Street, right, Landis, at this particular point?
Right, not at this point. Again, obviously, we have not had any correspondence with them in regards to the stormwater management that we're requiring them to do on site. And they do need to follow up on that. I did talk to the chairman a little bit about that, that he feels that we should send him a letter. So probably going to do that.
Okay. And Boyden Estates, Summer Street, any little thing that we want to say about that?
Boyden Estates, there's nothing in addition at this point. They're still waiting on the fines to be paid and also the work to be finished down by the edge of the wetlands.
Okay. And then final enforcement order is our non-compliance for Brookside Village. And what have you, and so this is the retaining wall that actually the building inspector is involved with assuring that it's going to be stable and safe. So that's his jurisdiction. Our jurisdiction is the erosion. We saw erosion coming from under the wall. We saw erosion coming over the top of the wall. So that's strictly our jurisdiction. So we're working with the building inspector on that. But what had you heard recently, Landis, about that?
So I had a conversation with Mike Curatola, which I just noticed I believe he's on right now, about after the commission had the site visit that we were anticipating work on the wall where it was eroding through the rocks, and also at the top of the wall where it was loose and eroding there. So perhaps Mike would like to speak to what the plans are to fix the situation.
Yes, I will. We talked to our mason today after my conversation with Landis, and we are going to have him out there at the end of this week, if not by the end of this week, first of next week, to correct that wall. We're going to chink the wall, fill in the voids, and take care of all that erosion along the wall.
In doing some regrading as well, because
Yes.
there's some things about the grading up on top of the wall that didn't seem quite right.
Yes, we will take that in consideration as well. We did have GLM Engineering did a as-built on the wall, and they claim that the wall is built the way it was supposed to, but we will take a look at the grading at the top of the wall and, again, take care of all the voids within the wall and get rid of all the erosion.
Yeah. Okay. And as far as whether it was built, stably and safely, that's the building inspector. So we're just all about the erosion that we saw coming through and over the top from the grading. So that's what we're going to be keeping an eye on.
But I also had a conversation with the building commissioner, Michael, today as well. And we discussed that the discrepancy between the engineer that the residents hired and the engineer that we hired, and there seems to be a discrepancy in that, and I am trying to have some contact between the two engineers, the two structural engineers, which I will continue on this week.
So for, I guess we probably don't have time, Landis, in our next meeting if we're doing Summer Street, but should we maybe expect to have some kind of resolution for the July 8th meeting? Or
I think it would be good to have, to find out if you could tell me, give me a day or day ahead of when you're going to be out there doing the work. Just keep in contact with me when you're doing the work, when it's done, and report back on July 8th. I mean, the 24th, even if it's just an email, that would be, I think, good, right, Betsy? Is that what you would like?
Sure. Yeah. Yes.
I'm sorry, by the 24th, did you say?
Yeah, the next meeting is the 24th.
24th of June.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Okay. But I thought you said
Yeah,
something
just
about July
update
8th.
the commission by then.
Okay, so update it.
If you could just do an update by the July 24th, then maybe we'll put you on the agenda for the July 8th meeting.
Right.
Does that sound good, Betsy?
Okay, so give an update by June 24th.
Yeah. Email update to Landis June 24th, and then July 8th, maybe you can get on the agenda to get everything resolved.
Fair enough.
Okay.
All righty.
All right, thanks. So Landis, I think we're all out of agenda items.
Thank you.
Is that correct, Landis?
That is correct.
Wow. All right. So do I have a motion to adjourn?
I'll move it.
Okay, good, Al. Who would like to second it?
Second.
Okay, good. All right, so all in favor of adjourning? Betsy, aye. Al?
Right.
Okay, Medio?
Aye.
Doug?
Aye.
All right, so 400, we're adjourning this meeting and people can leave. What?
Okay, thanks, guys.
All right, see you
Good
guys.
job again.
Yep,
See you later.
bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Good night.